My Kiwi Berry plant has been looking so good lately, it makes me want more. I'm far too lazy to drive to the store for more Kiwi Berry plants, so I'm going to attempt to propagate my own. I'll need to build some kind of greenhouse, and I plan on using this clear plastic tub with some holes drilled in it for just that. We really don't want the cuttings to dry out, so this should help them stay nice and humid. These are the tools I'll be using to take my cuttings. We'll need some kind of growing medium. I'm going to use this Miracle-Gro seed starting mix. We will, of course, need some pots to put them all in. I have my trowel and a couple different types of scissors. You will want to clean your scissors in between cuts with rubbing alcohol. Lastly, I'm going to try using this rooting gel. A couple dabs near where we make the incision should promote root growth. Before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and fill up a bunch of these little pots that I had laying around. These are just excess from when I go to my local greenhouse tellies. I always hold on to these just in case of instances like this where I need a bunch of little pots for a bunch of little plants. The kiwi plant looks really healthy right now, but I don't want to take too much when I go to take my cuttings. 10 pots should be plenty. And of course, I need to get my tools cleaned off. Normally, I would just use isopropyl alcohol, but I had a pack of these laying around and I figured I'd give them a go. Now we're ready to propagate. When it comes to kiwis, we want to look for the woodier growth from last year. That's going to give us our best chances at propagation. So here I'm looking for some slightly thicker, woody growth. When I found my piece, I'll go ahead and make my cut at a 45-degree angle. The next thing I'll do is trim off these excess leaves. The plant, when it's propagating, won't be able to support that much green growth, so we need to trim it back just a bit. I'll clean up my stem cut and make sure that's at a 45-degree angle before clipping into it to promote root growth by getting down to the center of the stick. I'll also shave a little bit of the bark off before applying the rooting gel. After I've applied the rooting gel, we can go ahead and get them stuck into their own individual pots that we set up earlier. Now that's a healthy looking plant. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for this magnificent angle of my thighs and switch up the camera here. Now I put about 10 pots together, so I plan on filling each one of those, so I've got to go through that same process a few more times. I'm going to cut a stem off, I'm going to snip it to the proper length and get rid of all the extra foliage, and then I'm going to dip it in that rooting gel. And I'm going to do it all while providing a slightly less magnificent angle of my calves. Alright, enough showing off. Let's get back to the kiwis. Just about finished taking all of my clippings, so I'm going to go ahead and begin to transport them to their new home. The tub we drilled holes in earlier will make an excellent propagation station because it still allows light through without allowing too much direct light through. The goal of this thing is to keep the temperature and the humidity high for these propagating kiwis. One of my big challenges will be keeping these kiwis moist enough. I've tried propagating in the past and I've always had issues with plants drying out on me. I'm really hoping the seed starting mix is able to keep the plants moist. I'll go ahead and give them a thick initial watering to get them started. With that done, I'm going to go ahead and close the lid and leave these be. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an update for you. This did not go well for me. It looks like I was unable to keep the plants moist enough, so they dried out on me, and this is not ideal. After doing some research online, I found it might be best to actually try planting them in water. So I've decided to go round 2. The other big change I'm making is the rooting gel. Last time I used some gel, this time I'm going to use a Hormex powder for difficult to root stem plants. I don't think it was the rooting gel that was the problem last time. I think it was more me and user error, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to go ahead and try something different this time. The process I'm using this time is basically the same as it was last time, only instead of using the gel, I'm using the powder, and instead of putting them in soil, I'm putting them in water. And I'll make sure I cross my fingers this time. Believe it or not, I have another update for you. It's been a few weeks since I put the kiwis in the water, and they are still looking good. Let me go ahead and explain this pee-pee colored one first. I took a cutting from an apple tree and put that in there. That's what you're seeing right over here, and for some reason it seems to have dyed the water a yellow color. Don't know why that is. If anybody knows, please explain it to me. But look, some of my other kiwis are starting to form little roots. You can kind of see them there. And of course, some of the other ones are still kind of doing nothing. Not sure why that is either. These guys look like they're kind of starting to do something. Must be because of the glass. Shout out to the Rainforest Cafe.